going on, peeps? It's Wrath here, hanging out today, playing some Idle Heroes. I want to thank you guys so much for coming out with me today. If you liked the video, don't forget, smash that thumbs up button and show your support. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe as well. Alright guys, today we're going to start our 10-star hero analysis. I want to do it every season because obviously you get a lot of 10 stars, and once you use a 10-star for a while, you kind of get used to what they're good at and what they're bad at, so you can make a pretty solid analysis of the hero. That being said, today we're going to do Karim. He was the first 10-star I made this season. I've played, the longest with him so far, so I want to do analysis on Karim today. We're going to talk about what he's good at, what he's bad at, all that good jazz. So the first overall statement people are going to ask is, what's he good for, right? And I'm going to go ahead and say he's not the best at anything, all right? But that's not a bad thing, all right? He's not super specialized. He's very well-rounded. He actually works pretty well everywhere in the game. He's decent for boss damage, not the best. He works pretty well in the Aspen dungeon. He works in PvP as a nuke. He's pretty good all around. He's a very well-rounded hero, which makes him a very good hero in my opinion. Just because he's not the 100% best at something doesn't mean you're not an amazing hero. That's kind of where Karim is. Very well-rounded with the self-sustain. And the second question people are going to probably ask is, how do you gear one up? All right, and that's what we're going to talk about now. What's your build for a Karim? Now, before we do that, we're going to read through his skills and such, just so you kind of get where we're going with the build, because I kind of like to explain things. I'm an explainer. It's my jam. Anyways, so first up, the active skill here deals 190% of his attack as damage against 2 random backline enemies, healing himself for 35% of the damage inflicted as HP, steals the target's attack by 30% for 3 rounds, and gains 40% crit damage for 3 rounds. Pretty solid. His active skill makes him very strong. It makes him hit harder with better crit damage, and it also is going to heal him, which is also good. Second thing here, this is just your passive. Increases attack by 35%, crit by 30, and HP by 20. That's important, mainly because it gives him crit. Any hero that has a base stat of crit, generally you can build them as crit heroes very effectively. Why'd that pop up? I don't know. It did. Any hoodles. Next passive here, whenever an enemy hero dies, gains 30% attack. This means he's a momentum hero. He kind of snowballs into being stronger the longer a battle goes. As heroes start to die on the enemy team, he starts hitting harder. As he hits harder, he kills more enemies. It just goes downhill. He starts smashing the living crap out of people. Kind of like Demon Hunter. She has a similar passive. Last one here. Basic attack targets enemy at the lowest HP, dealing 130% of his attack as damage, healing himself for 45% of the damage inflicted as HP. That's actually really solid, and it plays really well with his other passives. Being that he targets enemies with lowest HP means he's more likely to kill weak heroes, which is going to trigger his attack buff, which makes him more likely to start doing more damage to kill more heroes. He synergizes very well with himself. With that being said, he is the only hero right now in the game that heals based off of damage inflicted and not based off of his attack percentage or his max HP. He heals based on the damage he does. Therefore, when you build one, you want to maximize his damage. Some people might think you want to build an attack Karim, but I would say Karim's best build right now is a crit. There's no reason... Would you just go there? There we go. Games. As you can see, I have 77% crit, 68% crit damage. It's not the highest. I could easily have that higher with a max stone. So he's not like the tippy-top Karim in the game or anything, but he's definitely not a bad Karim. All right, he's up there. So anyways, that's what you want to build. A lot of people might think attack's the better option. The problem with attack is when you're not critting, you're not getting that extra damage buff. The entire point of crit damage is that you crit, you deal way extra damage. The higher your crit damage is, even higher crit damage. And when you heal based off how much damage you do, obviously, the more damage you deal, the more you heal. You want to crit more. That's the way I see it. So that's how I built mine. So what should you run? I would say your stone is a guarantee on Karim as crit. You should always run crit damage and crit on your stone, in my opinion. There's no real reason not to. I can't see any other reason that you would take anything else. Maybe you've had a really good artifact that gave crit damage and crit, like that with the Punisher, the Immortal, whatever. That's a pretty solid artifact. If you had that on, maybe you could get away with like a crit HP stone, or maybe even attack stone if you wanted to really buff his attack a little higher. I say run the crit damage, crit stone. Odds are you're not going to have that amazing artifact. If you do, awesome. But there's a lot of artifacts you can choose for him, generally centered around crit. Okay, there's 2 red and 2 orange artifacts, I believe, that have crit with them. No. Maybe? I know there's at least one, and it's this one, alright? This is a crit-based Abyss special orange artifact. It gives you crit and attack, which means obviously he has a better crit chance. He's going to crit more often, heal more often, keeps him alive longer. That's always good. There's really great artifacts out there. Some of the more exclusive ones, the special ones that you can't really get on the seasonal server. At least I've never pulled one on seasonal. I don't know if they're actually in seasonal, like the Punisher, the Immortal, whatever. It may be there. I don't think it is. But you're going to want something that boosts his crit and his attack. That's the big thing. If you don't have a crit artifact, run with attack. Okay, because you want him to deal more damage. The more damage he deals, the more he heals. But generally speaking, you're going to want crit. I do believe there's like this one here. This is what I ran on him before I actually put the exclusive orange. It's got crit and attack all in one artifact. That's what you want. There's quite a few artifacts you can use, but I would say your best one probably going to be the Engulf, or, of course, the exclusive ones like the Punisher, the Immortal, whatever. Those things are pretty solid. This gear up here doesn't really matter. It's whatever you have for him. Obviously, 4, 5, 6-star orange gear. If you have the Assassin set, like on Official or Private, that's obviously an amazing set for him. So, there you go. That's how I would say you should always gear Karim, is toward crit as of right now. Like, the way the game goes, they can change things anytime. If he does get changed or nerfed, you might want to build him differently. But for right now, I'd say a crit Karim is the most powerful Karim out there. So looking at his strengths and weaknesses, I would say his biggest weakness, in my opinion, is boss damage. He doesn't deal a lot of boss damage, but he doesn't do bad at it either. He's not like horrible at boss damage, but he's not amazing at it either. He doesn't really scale well with attacking bosses. He's not like Walter or Bloodblade with big damage over time effects that boost their damage really high. He just kind of does flat damage, and you're not killing off enemies, so he's not really proccing his that basic attack increase every time he kills somebody. I would say he's one of the better heroes in the Aspen, at least for me, in the Abyss faction. Absolutely best Aspen hero there is in the Abyss faction. There's no way around that. Go ahead and show that off over here. This is what I've been using in Seasonal, is I use Karim for my main Aspen hero. He does all the nodes, but when I get to tricky nodes like Walters and stuff like that with Bloodblades, where there's damage over time with a chance to be stunned, I generally swap in a node breaker like a Walter, a Corpse Demon, Berea, something like that. They can take that damage and whittle that node down, so Karim can either finish it or it gets finished and I can just move to the next one. As you can see, with Karim as my main at 10-star, I made it to difficult 69. It does get a lot harder at difficult 50. It feels like the difficulty increase goes way up. Of course, it probably feels like that for everyone, right? But anyways, there it is. Pretty solid in the Aspen dungeon. I have heard people say they've taken Karim to Nightmare. I've never seen it, but I don't doubt it. A fully crit damage Karim with the Max Stone, Assassin's Gear, stuff like that, I would assume, yeah, you could probably make Nightmare with him. I haven't done it yet, but that doesn't mean it can't be done. Very solid in the Aspen dungeon. If you're building an Abyss-based team, he's almost a requirement for your team. I've seen people do like the Cruce and Scary teams. Those are fun for PvP, but they suck huge balls when it comes to the Aspen dungeon. So if you're going with an Aspen-based or an Abyss-based team, Karim is you have to have one. You've got to have one, or you're going to suck in the Aspen dungeon. You're going to need him here. All right. He works really well in the Tower of Oblivion as well, because, like I said, as heroes start dying, like on those Ice Blink nodes, stuff like that, where crowd control is a big deal for them, once you start killing the enemy off, Karim gains a big momentum boost, and he can start wiping out the enemy very quickly. He's carried me pretty high in the tower, my team together. 456, we're not like the tippy top or anything, but I also have no AoE healer, and no AoE crowd control other than Cruce when he gets low on health. So Karim works really well there. Brave Trial, I guess it would depend on your team. The Brave Trial is kind of a whole team-oriented deal. You've got to be able to sustain all the way through it. Karim, generally speaking, was my last to die early on until Corpse Demon got 10-starred, and then Corpse Demon, obviously, with his self-sustain and huge health, kind of was the last one whittling out. But yeah, Karim works pretty much everywhere. A really good hero, if you're going to build an Abyss-based team, I would say you've got to use one, okay? Pretty much a guarantee. I don't really know. I mean, if you use like a pollution team with Forest and Abyss, maybe you don't have to because you'll have Vesa for your Aspen Dungeon hero and stuff like that. But generally speaking, like if you're going Shadow and Abyss like I have, you have to have a Karim. You have to have him. I guess you could try Bloodblade, but I don't think he would get as far as Karim does at all. Maybe I'm wrong there. But like I said, Karim, very, very, very solid Abyss hero. One of the best. Again, he's not the best at anything, but he's very good at everything. He does everything really well. We'll jump in here and do a battle with him against a boss so you can kind of see what I mean by him not being the strongest hero out there for boss damage. I do have a Heart Watcher and a Cruz in my team. That does make a difference on the numbers you hit. Obviously, you're not going to deal nearly as much damage without Heart Watcher and Cruz's buffs to your damage, but just for a comparison, next to a 10-star Walter and a 10-star Berea, we're going to run him here, just so you guys get like an idea of what Karim runs against bosses. This is a Walter boss. They're not super crazy tough, but, you know, whatevs. We'll skip through it. I don't want to sit there and watch it the whole time. 70 million damage. That's actually one of the higher hits I do. 70 mil. As you can see when you look at the damage here, Walter and Berea far out damage my Karim. 21 million, 22 million to 13 million. So about 10 million more damage almost. Pretty heavy outpace there in the guild boss damage. He's not solid at bosses. He's not bad. Like I said, 13 million isn't a horrible number, but it's not like he's not going to be a best in slot boss damage hero. But again, he's not bad, so he works everywhere. That's kind of Karim's strong point, is he's very well-rounded, and that's what you should take away from this, is Karim is a very well-rounded hero. You can't really go wrong building one, and that's where I stand on, is you can't go wrong with a Karim. Alright, if he's not in your aura, you know, maybe not. But like I said, if you're on official and you have a couple Karim copies, you're not really using one, there's no shame in building one. With that being said, what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about Karim earlier on, because a 10-star hero is not always a 10-star hero. Obviously, they start early on at 5, and you've got to build them. And this is where Karim kind of is a little weaker, okay? When you get a 5-star Karim, he literally has zero ability to self-sustain at all. He still has momentum. He still gets stronger as enemies die. He still has a decent crit damage, but he has no ability to heal himself. So Karim from 5-star all the way up to 8-star. Do I have the... Where's that at? I'm looking for him. I'm blind. There he is. Has zero ability to heal. All right? No healing at all in Karim until he's 9-starred. Once he's 9-starred, you'll pick up this back end heal here for his basic attack, but you still won't have skill damage heal. So he's only going to heal based off his basic attack. That's what I used on my very first Aspen run, was a Karim at 9-star. I did beat the first 100 waves with a 9-star Karim, so it can be done, but obviously a 9-star Vesa would carry you much, much further. But anyways, he has no ability to heal until he's 9-starred. So that's something you got to keep in mind. Karim is not going to be a powerhouse in the Aspen dungeon until he's 10-starred. He's okay at 9. He's not really strong at 9. But once you get to 10, he really shines in the Aspen. That's kind of where he kicks in. If you guys don't know, your Aspen dungeon hero is probably your most important hero in the game, just because a majority of your resources are going to come from the Aspen dungeon. So the better, the more waves you can complete, the more merchants you run into, the more, you know, heroic scrolls, prophet orbs, etc. you can buy. Aspen Dungeon Hero, I would say, is your number one priority. All right? With that being said, Karim, not very good at it till he's 10-starred. He can pass at 9, not very good. There's a lot of other 9-star heroes that far outpace Karim's ability in the Aspen Dungeon. But once you 10-star Karim, he has very solid potential. As you've seen, I took mine to difficult 69. That's not the best out there. I'm sure there's tons of people at Nightmare and Plus, but it's definitely not bad. That's a lot of waves, which means a lot of different merchants. All right? Not a bad hero even early on. Like I said, I would still build mine crit early on, because why not? There's no reason not to already build your Karim to crit heavy early on, because you're going to use that in-game. You're not going to be changing his build back and forth. You might as well just go ahead, crit him all the way up, have him critting really heavy, because even an 8-star Karim still crits pretty freaking hard. You know, he's got that passive maxed out, so as he kills enemies, he's getting that attack buff. He's still stealing attack. He's not stealing crit damage, but he still steals attack, so his attack gets buffed. Very solid hero. does pretty well all the way through the game for damage, but when it comes to self-sustain, he sucks at it until really 10 star. He's mediocre at 9, maybe even on the lower end of mediocre at 9. But 10 star Karim, boom. If you're going Abyss faction, you better you build one. Build one if you're going Abyss. There's no reason not to. Very good hero in game. So there you go, guys. That's kind of Karim's analysis. You know what? One thing before we go, let's do an auto battle here in the campaign, just to kind of show what I mean by him snowballing. You know what I'm saying? As he gets stronger. Hopefully it's not like a crowd control node. We'll take the monster off. Should we? Yeah, it'll kill him too quick. Which means this is going to nerf his stats down pretty low. But what are you going to do? See what we got here. I kind of want to see him start killing things off like that. You'll see his damage start to spike. He doesn't have the monster active. There's 900,000. 778 grand on a basic attack with no monster at all. 900 grand with an active skill. I mean, that's a very quick battle. That didn't last very long at all, obviously. Campaign's not hard. It's kind of will show you that he starts out a little weak in the battle. He's not super strong right at the early part of a PvP battle. But as you kill an enemy, he starts getting stronger once he casts his active skill. He gets a lot stronger. She's going to steal that attack and the crit damage at 10. Which I would say makes him almost a candidate for an energy artifact. But generally speaking, you want that on a crowd control hero, in my opinion. So still, as you see, he does snowball into a stronger hero, kind of like Demon Hunter does. Very good all-around hero. Like I said, you'll never go wrong building Karim. If you're going into an Abyss faction, you probably want to build one. But that is going to be the Karim analysis. If I missed anything, I don't think I did. I didn't do any PvP battles with him, but up here in Seasonal, it's pretty much, max Flame Strike and Cruce everywhere. So, I don't know. Whatevs. Kind of a deal. But like I said, he's good everywhere. Tower of Oblivion, check. Aspen Dungeon, really solid there once he's 10-starred. Brave Trial, he's not like a god for the Brave Trial or anything, but he definitely pulls his own weight for absolutely sure. He's just good all around. He's a good all-around hero. If you're going to build one, you should build one, because he's not bad. If you're on the fence, I would say go for it. Anyways, there you go, guys. That's the Karim analysis. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you liked the video, please make sure to smash that thumbs up button and show your support. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe as well and tell your friends about it, because that definitely helps me out. And I will see you guys in the next one.